In today's episode, we'll be talking about Survivor Season 47, Episode 5, The Scales Be Tippin. So let's get right into The Scales Be Tippin. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. Coming off of last week's tribal council, obviously with Keyshawn being voted out, Teeny being the only person left out of the vote, we come back to camp and Rome informs Teeny that he's upset with her because they didn't tell Rome about the plan for it to be Rome, which I felt was pretty irrational by Rome. Teeny had lost their vote, so they didn't have a vote for this tribal council. They couldn't really do much. What was the plan? Like, how would that have changed anything? I mean, they ended up succeeding, so I think this is a little bit of an overreaction by Rome. Once this all goes down, like, you're gonna be okay, bro. You have three people in your tribe. I guess you gotta work to get it back together. They kind of reconcile a bit, so I guess that was the kind of point of it. So good job, Rome, on that, I guess. But I felt like, you can't take everything too personally. I always get mad at people for taking votes against them personally, even though he didn't have any votes against him. I feel like he's kind of playing that role of having been the one to win and now win the battle, and now that he's on top, he's like, "Why didn't you tell me that?" I feel like it's kind of not really necessary, but hence it happened. So that's really the only thing that happens before this new reward twist slash challenge. So they come into the arena slash challenge, and all of them make the note that there's only two tribes, blue and yellow, no red there, so they're all going to be split into two groups. I'm sure they're all hyped that it was a tribe swap, but guess what? There's no tribe swaps in the new era, only in season 45, because we love season 45 and we hate all the other seasons. Season 44 doesn't really count. So what this reward challenge is, there's going to be two teams of 7 drawn up from the 3 different tribes, randomly selected. Only for this challenge, they'll be together, and then the winners will celebrate together during the Survivor Social Hour, and the losers will be sent back to their separate camp and not be able to interact with the others. So I thought this is a pretty good idea, honestly. Sometimes the groups are just going to stick with what they know and stick with their squads and not really, you know, gel with the other groups. So it was nice to see some sort of cross pollination, as somebody put it in the episode, between the 3 tribes, get on the same page, understand each other better, get to meet each other more, rather than the people who just knowing from the journeys having the advantage. So at least half the people have the advantage here. So the groups on blue team, we have Annika, Sol, Rome, Gabe, Andy, Sierra, and Genevieve. Most of the red tribe, 2 members of the yellow tribe, and 1 member of the blue tribe being Gabe. And then on the yellow team, we have Sue, Kyle, Teeny, Sam, Rachel, Tiyana, and Caroline. Obviously, that is the group that ends up winning the challenge. It does end up being semi-close, but it comes down to throwing the balls at the end, trying to hit them in the net. So good job to the yellow team. They get to go on the social hour. So once on the social hour, it is all no holds bar for some people. Teeny tells their whole story about how they're on the bottom of the tribe to everyone. Sue points the finger at Sam, saying that he's the one. They heard that he's the one that's been running things on the yellow tribe, got a tribe with Sierra. He denies pretty strongly. Not sure how he came across there. I thought he came off a little aggressive in that, but that's neither here nor there. It seemed to have done the trick. And the biggest thing that happens is Tiyana throws Gabe under the bus, and Sue is not happy about this. Apparently, Sue's number 1 is Gabe, not Caroline, which we've been shown. I thought Caroline was her number 1. She says Gabe's basically her number 1. So Sue is not happy about Tiana's throwing him under the bus in front of everyone. Obviously, this is kind of like a Gabler situation where you throw somebody under the bus and it's like, hey, we'll just take the free, thing that's there. We'll vote him out. Obviously, they're not voting anybody out yet, but that might be something to watch next week. Gabe could potentially be in trouble due to Tiana's actions. So essentially, at the Survivor Social Hour, there's hot dogs, there's soda and stuff, and they all drink together. But there's cornhole. So once some people go off and play cornhole, Caroline says, rather than playing cornhole, I'm going to keep playing Survivor. She's talking with Rachel and Teeny, She mentions how she's number ones with Sue. She feels really good with Rachel. Obviously, she had met Teeny last week at that journey that they went on together. So really strong content for Caroline, honestly. We'll talk about her in a bit, but I'm really liking Caroline's trajectory at this point in the game. So back on the Red Tribe, the people that didn't go on the challenge, Rome tells Sol about the amulet that Teeny had not mentioned to Rome and Genevieve specifically. They had only told it to Keyshawn and Sol. Or no, they just didn't tell. I don't know who did. Who did they? I don't know. So Rome tells her about the amulet, or Rome tells Sol about the amulet, which he did not know about. Throwing his other tribe members on the bus as well, saying, Teeny and Genevieve knew about this, but you didn't. So what does that mean for you? And once this conversation's over, Sol talks with Genevieve about how Rome is saying she doesn't want to work with him long term. So the Red Tribe, it seemed like the Rome and Genevieve duo was the one making the decisions for the next tribal council. They had to decide between Sol and Teeny. Genevieve wanted to keep her options open, but she was moving towards getting rid of Sol, and I think Rome wants to keep Sol at this point and get rid of Teeny. He mentioned that a couple times. So when Sol brings the information back to Genevieve about Rome saying that she doesn't want to work with him long term, this is where we get the episode quotes that the scales are tipping on taking Rome out. So yeah, she's not feeling Rome too much anymore. If he's too loose with this information, it's not going to be best for her alliance, best for her game. So Genevieve's playing a pretty strong game. I feel like she's got a lot of people in Red Tribe working with her now. I'm not sure how much Sol trusts her after that information came out, but I think she's in a good spot moving forward. So on the Yellow Tribe, essentially Sierra remains the strong swing vote. That's what that's what this episode's going to end up coming down to. It's going to be Sierra, Sam, Sierra and Sam in the middle, Andy on one side, and then Annika and Rachel on the other side. So this is really Sierra's strong decision on what she wants to do. She can stick with the girls or go with the guys and get rid of Annika or get rid of Andy, the easy vote to get out. So we'll talk about that decision in a second. Moving forward, Teeny does not tell the tribe about the social hour happenings. It seemed like a lot of the other people kind of let them in on what the other tribes knew, but Teeny just plays everything cool, doesn't really spill the secrets. So Red might be at a disadvantage next week when it comes to information and really the happenings of the game. I don't know. This might come back to bite Teeny, but we'll see if that happens. So another strong Caroline moment back at Blue Tribe. Once they're all back together, she has Tiyana apologize to Gabe about what she said at the social hour, but she only apologizes for telling people that he played his idol. He double checks with Sue that that's all that she said at the social hour, and Sue's like, yeah, he didn't say that. So it seems like Tiyana, to me, has moved to the bottom of the Blue Tribe. I think she's the most vulnerable there. I think Kyle has kind of moved his way up and retained his spot. I think Tiyana could be in deep trouble. This, to me, seemed like a Gabler gone wrong of just spewing about the one person that's not there, and, I think that was a bad decision. So we get to the immunity challenge, and Yellow brings the chickens to the challenge. This is going to be a classic negotiation, which started with Angelina. Now here we are, a couple seasons later, between Jeff and the Yellow Tribe, which I think Jeff gave him a pretty easy discount. So first offer from Sam is 24 eggs. Jeff's counters with 15. Sam says no 20, and then Jeff says meet in the middle 18. So only 6 down from what Sam initially offered and 9 down from where Jeff countered. So actually he only gave up 3, so I don't know. Seemed like a loss for Jeff though. It seemed like Jeff went a little soft. Where's spicy Jeff, man? Bring him back. So in the only notable thing that really happens during the challenge is Andy struggles early on cutting the rope. He had this saw thing that you're supposed to use, but he uses the other end of it. This kid's just a mess. I'm interested to see how his game goes at the merge. I'm not really sure that I have the highest prospects for him, but wish the best for you. Not every super fan's meant to be on the show, but he's made it this far. He's gonna make it to Mergatory, so props to the kid. Blue wins a very tight. Blue wins first. Blue wins the challenge first, and then Red and Yellow have a very tight battle for second. Yellow had fallen behind early due to Andy's mishappenings, but they came all the way back, and Red was kind of choking in the puzzle, but Red barely wins. Sol falls backwards over a plank, but they do end up making it to second place. sending Yellow to Tribal Council, which I felt like was due for a couple weeks. It seems like Yellow team has been, in the depths of looking for what they need and not looking for what they need. I don't even know what that means, but looking to vote somebody out. Then they got to get somebody out of here. Just seems like the tensions have been running too high. So Andy has this fake little plan that he wants to be loyal to Annika and Rachel, and is like, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. They make a fake plan to him to vote out Sam, which I thought was never really realistic, but I guess that's like what he wanted, just to feel like. I guess that's kind of a good thing to have, like a side plan where that's not really true, but that people are telling you a side plan because you're the real vote, so at least he knows he's the real vote. Maybe play in the shot in the dark if he needs to, but he wouldn't need to tonight. So little small victory for Andy there. I'll give it to him. So some of the dynamics that I forgot at this tribal, Annika has no vote. Journey kind of screwed her over. Sam has to use this idol that he has. It's only only an idol that's good for one tribal council, but he may not use it because if he does use it, he gets it from Andy, and to keep Andy, then that means Andy knows that he played the idol and didn't tell him about it, so that would probably mean that Andy was gone if he played the idol, because he didn't tell Andy about it. So it's really just maintaining the relationship with Andy is as simple as it gets. So the usual tribal council jargon happens. Nothing really of note there. Mostly just talking about how you want to be in the right group and make sure that everything's good. I mean, they were like the quote-unquote kumbaya tribe. I didn't really see that, but it is what it is. Everything comes down to it. Jeff asks if anyone has an advantage. Sam does not play his idol that's only good for one tribal council, so he's very comfortable in the game, and also that means that he's probably voting with Andy, because if he wasn't, why not play it? So the votes come out. 1 vote for Annika, 1 vote for Andy, and then 2 more for Annika, sending Annika out in a 3-1 vote. Very nice blindside in her. Really awkward tension. Annika's in shock after this vote. This was like one of the, like a Michaela moment almost, where there was just, she's like, who did it? And they count out the votes. She doesn't talk to Sierra at all. I was waiting for her to say something to Sierra. I thought maybe she was going to give her a snide comment or something, but she walks out of there eventually. Andy and Sam try to give her a little wave. She says nah on the walk out when they waved away, and now as she makes her way to give her final confessional, she's crying. She's a wreck, and yeah, Annika I thought was a pretty good force in this season. I didn't hate her, but I didn't love her. Just seemed to be there. She was on one of my draft teams, so RIP to that. Still got 2 people on that though, so hopefully one of them wins. Seems like next week we are headed to Mergatory. Not sure why this episode for me was a lot shorter on the usual the usual dubcast, but that's okay. Just a lot less to analyze. I don't know. I just didn't have a lot of notes in this episode. Thought it was a pretty solid episode, run of the mill, nothing crazy. Kind of knew that Annika was going to go for a while. Just as soon as they left for Tribal Council, I was like, okay, it's probably Annika that's going. So with that being said, next week we look forward to Mergatory, everyone getting together. Seems like they're going to go on some sort of scavenger hunt to start it off, which everyone's favorite scavenger hunt. But seems to be some tensions brewing between everyone. We'll see where that all ends up. So as usual, I'll give my top 3 players to win, and then my top 3 players voted out next, which I'm actually feeling pretty confident in this week. So top 3 to win, I got my boy Sam. He's my favorite player so far of the season. I don't know, I just really like Sam. Liking the vibes he's putting out. Feel like he's playing a pretty good game. I think the edit's backing him up. This decision to me came down to what would be his best interest or Sierra's best interest. It seems like Sierra really wanted to end up keeping the girls, but they would go the other way, so that seems like a very big win for Sam and his edit, and also his game moving forward. He's got Andy, he's got Sierra. Who knows if you can reconcile with Sam or Sierra or Rachel? Sorry. But now he went into the social hour. He's got people on his side. I think Sam's long for this game. I do potentially think he could be a mid-merge boot just due to being a strong physical threat, but Sam's my number 1 contender. Number 2, I got Caroline. I think she's had really strong, consistent content throughout the episodes, reminding me of a female winner. Once again, I do not watch Edgic, but I do keep up with some of the stuff that people say about it. So I do think Caroline has had pretty strong, decent content. We saw her this episode playing the game rather than doing social hour, which seemed like a win. The Tiyana thing, Tiyana just follows her advice on what to do, and it backfires on Tiyana. Caroline seems in a really good spot, has a connection with Sue, has a connection with Tiyana. She had the whole thing about bringing the chickens back to the coop. Gabe seems to have trusted her as well. I'm sure Kyle trusts her as well, so I think Caroline's in a really good spot as well. Last one, a little bit tougher here, but I'm going to give it to Sierra. Obviously, she had to make the tough decisions and everything tonight. Didn't get her way, but not everyone gets their way in the pre-merge. Kenzie D notably lost that vote, but I mean, Sierra was on this vote as well, so I feel like she's had pretty strong, consistent content as well. She has the same connections as Sam, along with Rachel, which she may be able to draw back in. So I think Sam, Caroline, Sierra are my top three. Little outliers. I think Sue could potentially be one, but didn't have strong enough content to make my top three. Tiyana's way gone. Besides that, not really looking at anybody. Maybe Teeny on the outside of that top three, but feel pretty good about that top three to win at this point in the game. Now moving on to the top three voted out next. Number one, I have Soul. Seems like him and Rome are going to get back into some beef next week. I just feel like his edit so far has been like a mergatory boot, kind of flash you in the pan with content and then kick you to the door. Just seems like he's kind of there, man. I mean, last week was a pretty strong episode for him, but that was pretty circumstantial. I think he might be out before the merge, if not in the double council where he's gonna be the first one that doesn't make the jury if they do that again. I think Soul is in very high danger of being voted out. Next, Tiyana. I feel like her game has really gone to the really sunk, especially this week. She got very little content the past couple weeks. She did clock Sue at the idol, but didn't really have her pulse on that fully. I think she's another one that could be. I think maybe she could be the mergatory boot, maybe the first member of the jury, something like that. It doesn't seem like she's really along for this game. Doesn't really have allies on blue. Didn't go on any journeys. Didn't go to the social hour. Or no, she did go to the social hour, but blew up Gabe's game. I don't know. This for me was between her, Gabe, whose side I think is going to ultimately win out. I think Gabe's going to win out. I think he ultimately has Sue, and Caroline was with Sue, so I'm thinking Tiyana is in trouble. Last one for me is Rachel, and I think there's a very strong possibility that Rachel gets voted out next week. Just think she's on the bottom of yellow. Sam and Sierra are obviously very close, and now they're bringing in Andy as a 3, so Rachel is on the bottom of that. She does have a good connection with Caroline, though, so that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. But besides that, I just think Rachel's really not long for this game either. I think all three of the people I mentioned might be the next 3 people out of the game, but could be totally wrong on that. Would be happy to be totally wrong on that. I like all of them, so as always, interested to see what happens. Wondering how everything breaks down during this mergatory. Hoping it's a good episode next week. So that'll wrap up coverage of episode 5 of season 47, The Scales Be Tippin. What were your guys' opinions on this episode? Thought it was just a fine episode, nothing really crazy. Thought it was pretty predictable boot, but hopefully next week we get some more intrigue and some more things happening. So with that being said, new podcast. We did a live stream. A lot of people popped out during the live stream. Thank you so much for that. During NFL, we picked week 7, talked about week 6, made our focus 5 picks, and so that was a really fun one. It's up on the live section of the channel. Besides that, we did a movie review, Nightcrawler, earlier in the week. Movie review coming Sunday, 300, and then hopefully The Gentleman Saturday, and then Monday will be The Gentleman. So always with the movies, keeping it going. Excited to cover NFL on a week-to-week basis as well. UFC next week, big event, Holloway to Puria. We'll have picks and predictions for that card as well. Besides that, just more movie reviews coming, more show reviews coming. Survivor Weekly will be here. So as always, appreciate your love and support and feedback. The channel's still growing. I'm still going to be here grinding, so might as well stick along, follow, subscribe. And as always, keep it easy, y'all.